So welcome to Mentality Meets. My name is Peter Larkum and I created Mentality. Now, Mentality is an online training course for anybody and everybody. And the reason being is because I want to reach 100% of our entire workforce to give everybody a base knowledge of mental health. Why? Because until we understand who we are and what our mental health journey is, will we then begin to realize if we are struggling or not? Now, if we are struggling, then the question is, well, where do we get the help and support? So mentality is split into three sections. The first section is, what do I see in other people? Then the second section is, what am I seeing in myself? And the third section is, where do we get the help and support? Because unless I know who my mental health first aiders are, who my mental health ambassadors are, unless I know who to contact within HR, who to see at my GP, who to go and talk to, do I have an employee assistance program? And if not, how do I access an IAPT, an improved access to psychological therapies through the NHS? How do I access all those things if I don't even know that they're there and available to me? So mentality is all about giving everybody this base knowledge, because I believe that anyone and everyone should be able to spot the signs and be able to take action. And that's what mentality is all about. So in Mentality Meets, we're going to be meeting up with Marsha McAdam. And I'm so excited about this call because there is going to be so much stuff that comes out. I don't quite know where it's going to go. So we have people already lined up and queuing up to get in. So we should probably click over and welcome everybody in. So guys, I hope you enjoy Mentality Meets. So we should probably kick this session off. So Marsha, thank you so much for joining me today. And this session is all about you. And so what I'd like to do is just ask you to quickly introduce yourself and let us know a little bit more about who you are.
Okay, hi, my name's Marsha McAdam. I am a member of the Speaker Collective and have been for the last 2 years. And to me, yous are like a support network to me, and it gives me belief in myself. And today is going to be the first part of a long journey talking about borderline personality disorder and the stigma that comes along with it. I have the condition, or the diagnosis, and as I speak, I just speak about my lived experience. I don't speak from a psychiatrist, psychologist, or that. I just speak about my lived experience, so sometimes I may get some wording wrong and things like that, so please bear with me. It's always just from the heart. The stigma that comes along with the label of borderline personality disorder, otherwise known as emotional unstable personality disorder, is like, which one do you like? That one horrible one, or that one that's even worse? It's like, which one? Yeah, I was telling Peter earlier, I've had some good experiences in services, and I've had some really horrific ones by having the police hold me down in A&E and this nurse shouting over me, you know exactly what you're doing. And so a few years ago, when I decided that I was going to start asking questions, my voice was shaky and that, but now I feel like I have a bit of a platform. And when I went to the Speakers Collective at the beginning of the year and asked if they would help support this project of mine around the stigma that comes with the borderline personality disorder, so I don't feel so alone anymore. So that's a bit about me.
Amazing, thank you, Marsha. Because I, for those of you who don't know me, so I deliver mental health first aid courses all over the country, or at least I did until everything began to shut down. And borderline personality disorder or personality disorders is a section within the course, but the knowledge and information that I have about it is absolutely minute. And to try and dig into it in a training course like mental health first aid is actually a really hard topic to begin to dig into. So I have had to tell Marsha that my knowledge base on this is really small. So I'm kind of going to try and encourage her to speak as much as possible as we go through this. Now, as always, I just want to remind you all of your own vulnerability as we talk through this session. Now, having had a very brief conversation with Marsha just before this session, it has been a hard journey that Marsha has been on. And I want to try and explore that a little bit. But we have no idea what your personal history is. We don't know what your experience of mental health illnesses have been. We don't know how you might be experiencing it at the moment. So please, can I ask you just to be able to look after yourselves as we go through this? If it becomes a little bit too more personal and a little bit too more vulnerable than you were expecting, and you need to log off, please do. Now, there's a couple of things that Marsha has asked us to really highlight today as we go through. So Hub of Hope is one that we highlight in every single session because it's by another guy from Speakers Collective who put it together. But it's a fantastic tool and a fantastic resource. And the website for that is hubofhope.co.uk. Now, with the Hub of Hope, you can be anywhere in the country and type in your postcode, and it will highlight all the mental health support agencies and mechanisms that there are around you. Now, this is brilliant because it could be that you're supporting someone on the other side of the country, but if you can put their postcode in, then you can find the support mechanisms that are available around that person. So the other one is harmless.org.uk. So Marsha, can you just give us a little bit of an update on what Harmless is all about?
So Harmless is about self-harm. It's a support network. And I'm actually going to be doing forgive me, just looking here. I'm actually going to be doing a bit of a podcast with them. Sorry about this.
Don't be. While you're finding that,
Yeah.
there's also another one, which is Shout, which is a new text service that was launched mid last year. And you can text Shout to the text number 85258. Okay, and what that will do is it will automatically link to someone who will then get in contact with you. So if you're struggling with your mental health and really need to find someone to talk to or someone to support you, then Shout is a text service that you can engage with. Otherwise, obviously, you have the Samaritans on 116123. So Marsha, sorry, have you got the information for Harmless?
Yeah, so Harmless is self-harm support, providing a range of services about self-harm, including support information and training. Now it's based in Nottingham, and from a few of the different conferences I've been to, they are recommended, and I'm going to be doing a podcast with them coming up. So if I talk about at the minute, with everything that's going on with Corona, yeah, sounds like that beer, doesn't it? Is it? I want the beer now. I'm nervous. Anyway, I'm joking. Okay, there's 9 areas for personality disorder. So fear of abandonment is one of them. Number 2 is unstable and intense interpersonal relationships, no sense of self, impulsivity, recklessness behavior, gambling, drinking, doing drugs, risky sexual behavior. Then there's suicidation, self-harm as well, and it's just trying to deal with the inner pain that you feel. And then mood change in a very short space of time. So in the past, my moods could go from 1 to 100 within a minute or two and then back down again. And then emptiness, and then anger, intensive anger, which then meant that people were walking on eggshells around me. And then the last one is disassociation, which is my way of protecting myself from my mind and things that were going on around me. So it almost felt like I was floating around the room, and not actually, I could see what was happening, but it just wasn't properly registering with me. So just before, Peter, we were talking, and one of the questions was, how does this corona thing affect me? So it has actually triggered a few of these things that I've just mentioned. So there's the fear of abandonment. At the minute, I can't see my best friend. I used to see him every few weeks. He's like, I call him my guardian angel. So it's never knowing whether I'm actually going to see him or not again, because of the death that people go through. And like, he has supported me so much over the last few years. And yeah, it's that worry. It's like, also the last 2 years, I've worked really, really hard at building up relationships that then turned into friendships. And for someone that used to be at home all the time, to then being out continually, for Joe to tell me that I was doing too much, and now for not being able to do anything, it's really tough. So I've got no sense of self anymore. I am using food as a control, which is something that I've spoken to the other speakers about. Yeah, and the emptiness, which can also be related to the food, why I'm eating the food, because inside I just got this emptiness.
Yes, because
So yeah.
the thing which I find fascinating about this, Marsha, and I love your honesty, and it is really raw. And I think the reason why it's raw is firstly because it's true. It's what's happening for you at this time. But I think also because what I'm finding as I talk with other friends or family members or people who haven't ever experienced mental health illnesses, they are saying the same things. That there is this, the fear, I think, is a big one. And I was on a call just this morning with you, Mel, and we were talking about just that fear. And people who were thinking, you know what, the lockdown will be finishing about now, and all of a sudden the government saying, well, actually we're still waiting for it to plateau and then begin to diminish, which means that there could be another 3 weeks of this, and people just having this kind of fear of, but I was hoping it would be done by now, and that longevity process, but also what you're saying about the emptiness that you're feeling. Because I know that I am currently eating more chocolate than I think I've ever eaten before. And the fact that it was Easter weekend, winner, because my kids have got loads of eggs that I can not give them and eat their chocolate. But I find this fascinating. Although I did make the foolish mistake of leaving the Easter eggs in the car, thinking that would be the safest place for them because the kids would never know they were there, and then having ridiculously hot weather and my car becoming like an oven. So all the Easter eggs were literally a shell of a case and all the chocolate just melted in a pile at the bottom. Not the best, but bit silly, really. Anyway, coming back to what you're saying about that fear of abandonment, about that emptiness. And the other thing that we were talking about is trying to better understand the behavior in bipolar disorder. Does that explain that a little bit?
No, do you say that again?
So the understanding the behavior. So why is this person acting or behaving like this? Because sometimes with borderline personality disorders, the behavior can be really quite chaotic and extreme. And certainly, until I'm able to fully understand why this behavior is there, it becomes very easy just to dismiss it and just go, stop being so manipulative and stop being such a drama queen and all of that. Does that Makes sense. So can you give
Yeah.
us a little bit of an explanation around, or better understanding around that behaviour
Um,
context?
I have had a lot of trauma in my life, and I've lost years through um, probably disassociating or it being traumatic, that it's my way of getting through things. It's like at the minute when you switch the news on and they're in ICU, um, and they're filming it and you can hear the beeping of those machines. In 2008, I was in ICU after a near fatal overdose, and put in an induced coma for 3 of those weeks, and then being brought round and hearing all those sounds. So yeah, it actually brings back quite a really scary time in my life. So where some people are saying, what the hell is the press doing in there? I completely get it. There's just way too much of, there needs to be sort of, yeah. So anyway, those thoughts have triggered, those sounds and that have triggered so much in me. And I guess it'll take you back to other people, why they may, because they've got things um, that they may have suppressed, and it's their way of just getting through it. Yeah, it's just their way of just trying to get through each day. So I always sort of put on a persona, um, and I didn't for years know who I was. So that's why, and then I've said in the last 3 years, I finally know who I am. And one of the things that when you suggested I come on this, I was really thankful, because um, the speakers are going to be helping with the campaign or the project around borderline personality disorder and the stigma that comes with it.
Yes.
Because no one knows anything really about it, and it's just apparently, listen, they reckon that Marilyn Monroe had BPD. They also reckon that Princess Diana had BPD. And then that that man that went and killed so many people.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I'm saying is, the reason I'm saying this is because there's such negative association in the press and that to do with BPD.
Yes.
But I'm not a murderer. I'm not. So it's how do we sort of, this is the beginning of the conversation, which that now is going on to next week's conversation with myself and Peter Fonagate on the meaningful conversation. So I was worried that no one was showing up today, so I'm glad to see some friendly faces. And may not have been as sort of, I was thinking it would be maybe be Joe and Peter, you. So thank you for the others. Now it's through each one of you that you can have this conversation. It's not just, I'm just one person, and sort of that's why I sort of see it's the start of the conversation, and then Danny, you'll maybe be able to go on and speak elsewhere. Melissa, the same with you, and Sanisha. And it's actually saying to people, hang on a minute, they're not just being manipulative or that. What is the reason behind it? And if you go up to someone and you're straight away, oh, what's your problem? They're then going to automatically get their, what's the right word? Like they're automatically going to get defensive. And then instead of spending 5 minutes being kind to someone, it can change so much.
So
And
another
yeah,
question that's come in, Marsha, from Steve, says, what are Marsha's most effective coping strategies? What do you find you're engaging with that is currently helping you cope with everything that's going on?
so in 2010 I received mentalization-based therapy, and and it has helped me so much, because I can now the training almost that I now I can understand why I'm feeling like that way, and it is normal to want to hoard food or that because you see it on so many, a cop. What's like those movies, the Saturday night movies where it's the end of the world and everyone's sort of
The kind of catastrophizing, kind of
yeah,
world-ending, apocalyptic film.
that's it. That's it. So it's just being able to say, okay, that is actually everyone is feeling like that. So what would be really good is if each one of you go away and one of your friends says, really struggling, and instead of saying, oh, you'll get over with it, and just sort of say, is there anything I can help with? Instead of just sort of thinking that they'll be okay. And when they tell you something, validate that, yeah, I can understand that feeling. Does that help, Steve?
Another question that's come through has come from Melissa Marsha, and says, thank you so much for sharing. Can I ask, what is it that you find most helpful from other people that's currently supporting you and others in or that could help and support you and other people? So what do you find most supportive from others?
Now, had this happened a few years ago, I would really, really be struggling at the minute. But it's having the speakers collectives around me, the 2 weekly check-ins. I'm not just saying it about me being a bit of a loner, because I was, and yeah, I wouldn't have got through it a few years ago. I would have probably been in hospital through overdosing and stuff myself. So it's, yeah.
So for those of you who are kind of new, Speakers Collective are the organizer or the charity that, what are we, a community interest company? Joe's trying to tell me I can't hear you, Joe. Joe, I'm going to unmute you because you know best. So Joe Emerson is the person who oversees Speakers Collective. So, Joe, can you just give us a little bit of a breakdown of what Speakers Collective is?
We're a social enterprise, so we are 50 people who speak from lived experience, who support each other. We're really proud of you, Marsha. It brought tears to my eyes. You're amazing, always. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so I think what we've been doing is having twice weekly check-ins, just catching up on where we're up to, but also planning really for the new normal and how we support people and work together going forward. And your mentality meet's been absolutely brilliant, Peter, so thank you for that.
And so I am connected with Speakers Collective, so I too join in with the 2 weekly. And I have to admit, as somebody who is a self-employed lone worker, the Speakers Collective has given me a group of people who I can just chat and be with, a level of reality that is actually quite difficult to have, because when you are the mental health trainer at the front of the room, you're meant to have everything together, and I don't. In any way, shape or form. Ask my family, bless them, who have to deal with me day in, day out. But to have a group of people who are as supportive as the Speakers Collective is brilliant. And those sessions are a real lifeline. And I know when I've missed it, because I'm there going, oh, I need to just kind of connect with people again. And so, yeah, so thank you to all of those from the Speakers Collective. Now, what we're also doing with these mentality meets is we're working towards the Mental Health Awareness Week that happens on the 18th to the 22nd of May. This year, the Mental Health Awareness Week is focusing in on kindness. It was going to focus in on sleep, but it got changed just the other week to kindness. And what we're going to try and do with the mentality meets is run question and answer panels around specific topics of mental health with different speakers. So there will be maybe 3 or 4 speakers from Speakers Collective in those sessions, and we'll be able to ask specific questions. We may even kind of make it all singing and all dancing and do some breakout rooms and almost do speed dating in the context of mental health questions and answers and stuff like that. I don't quite know yet. It's a work in progress, but sorry, Marsha, go on.
So kindness was what changed it for me. My best friend showed me kindness and empathy for the first time in my life. Everyone had always sort of left me or abandoned me because I pushed them away. And then because I was just so used to people leaving, whereas my friends not. And it was through him showing me empathy that I then was able to understand what it was and then show it to other people, instead of being argumentative all the time. So to me, kindness, particularly at the minute, is something that is much needed. I'm hoping that Danny's going to be on one of the things with me. You didn't know, did you? So yeah, I just kindness is definitely something that I think, because of what's happening at the minute, we're actually seeing a hell of a lot of it, and it's about bloody time we did, because it was just, the world was just being so selfish. So yeah.
So Marsha, I'm gonna push this just a little bit, and I want to hear your thoughts. By the way, everyone, we're getting to the last 3 minutes of this call. I can't believe time on these just goes so quickly. But Marsha, we're talking about kindness. I was musing on this just last night, and I was beginning to ask myself, with kindness, do I need to know what kindness looks like for me? Because everybody is experiencing this whole situation so differently, and everybody's journey of mental health is so different. Do I actually need to understand what I need as kindness? Because it's not going to be the same for each and every person. So kindness for one person could be you go out and you buy their shopping for them. A second person, it could be that you give them a phone call or you have a Zoom chat. For another person, it could be I'm running out of ideas of things that are kind to people. But it is different. It's different for all of us. And I think until I begin to understand what I need from people, am I going to acknowledge when somebody actually shows me kindness? Does that make sense? Because you could be showing me an act of kindness, but I don't even recognize it because it's not something that I need at this time. And I think my question to you is, how do we begin to explore our own personal needs so as with the people who are closest to us, we can start to ask, can you show me this? Can you be kind to me in this way? Because this is what I need right now. Do you think that we can understand ourselves better and we can ask those questions of people, Marsha?
I think, I might get this wrong, but I think you need to ask the question internally. You need to sort of acknowledge yourself, how you feel and what would be right for you. And then if you then say to someone, no, this is what would really, really help me, and being okay to sort of say, there's no point in someone offering you a barbecue when you want an ice box, or that's just come out in my, there's so, but yeah, I think you need to be okay with you, be kind to yourself, and then
I think that's perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at 11:30, so our time officially has come to an end on Mentality Meets. If you want to stick around for another minute or two, just as we begin to close this off, you can. But otherwise, if you do need to run away, thank you so much for joining us for Mentality Meets. I've been Pete Larkum. That has been Marsha McAdam. She has been absolutely awesome. And I want to say take care, God bless, and bye-bye now. Now, you don't have to leave, by the way, because we will just kind of wrap this up. But if you need to, that was a good enough ending as you're ever going to get one. So thank you so much for joining us. I've got a couple of things here, Marsha, about kindness being putting other people before ourselves, but also that kindness is so subjective, being able to share for ourselves. And sometimes we feel that it is a selfish act to ask for self-care. And Emmy says, when I'm struggling in life, I find doing for others is actually what I need to do. So to give out is kind of helpful for ourselves. And I just really want to encourage anyone who's left on the call today and this week, can you think, what do you need? What is the kindness that you need other people to show you? And also, what can you do for somebody else to show them kindness? Now, it may or may not be what you need, okay? So, for example, a hug. I'm missing hugs at the moment. I'm looking forward to seeing my family again and just hugging everybody. I may actually hug my neighbour who was on the call earlier. Luckily, she's gone now because I think that would freak her out. Oh, no, she is still here. Sorry, Leonie. Hi, Leonie. I'm just going to knock on the door and give a massive hug to her and her husband. But I miss that. But I'm also aware that hugs aren't necessarily what other people need. And so being able to acknowledge, what do I need? But also, what can I do for other people? Marsha, any closing thoughts from you on this chat today?
Carry on this conversation about borderline personality disorder and the stigma. That's what I really, really would be grateful for you all to do, please. It's only the beginning, so yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now our absolute ending of the call. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
And bye-bye now. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.